Greetings, one and all, and 5v5 Grand Arena is once again upon us in a couple days, and it's time to get ready for it. It's been over a month since we last played 5v5, and everyone needs a refresher, including myself. So let's take a look at which main squads might be placed on offense, defense, or your choice. They could be flex teams, they could be both, and that's where the strategy lies. So let's get into it. Starting with our classic offensive squads, towards the top I got Screamer Kylo. I don't think he belongs on defense. I think it's too easy to get around him with some cheap Jedi. And I think Phoenix would actually rip him to shreds too, honestly. But you can use him to... I don't think you will necessarily need him to take out Jabba or Lord Vader this season. I like to use Lord Vader against Jabba now. We'll see if that changes. But he can take out Lord Vader, can take out Jabba. It's not 100%, but I think he might be the best just for Sith Eternal Emperor, because I've been seeing that a lot more in defense, and I think it might be worth it just to take a full First Order Supreme Leader Kylo team and just knock that team out, because otherwise it's pretty scary. So that's what I'm going to have my sights on for it, but really flexible team on offense, can't really go wrong. Next we got Jedi Master Luke. Don't really want to put him on defense. I mean, even with the Bastila Datacron or really high protection, I think he can die pretty easily to Reva or Sith Eternal Emperor with Watt if you have that available too. So there's more classic offensive team, and there's really a lot of potential for user error with all the special abilities, the grand special ability. This team, you probably still want to just run a normal protection Datacron, or as much protection as you have on a set 9. But if you want to experiment with the foresight and arm penetration or something, that might work. I don't know. It just depends. If you sub out Grandmaster Yoda for Giant Knight Revan, this can take out Lord Vader pretty consistently. Maybe not with the Boltcron actually, but it can kind of work if you really needed to. Next GL and last GL for purely offense, we got Sith Eternal Emperor, but I also have him on defense with a different comp, a full Sith comp. But on offense, you give him some babysitters, Wat Tambor, the armor, or both. If you give him the armor, you want to have like a tank in there or something. That can take out a lot of stuff. Might be just good at a mirror. Can take out Jedi Master Luke. If you bring in some extra others like tanks or Geobrute Alpha, this can be Jedi Master Kenobi. So all kinds of use for it. Definitely very versatile Galactic Legend. And moving on to the non-GLs, we got Starkiller, just the classic lineup first. I don't know if I'll trust it against Rey this season. I didn't trust them against Rey in 3v3, but 5v5 is a different monster. I do think you probably want a lot of armor penetration, crit damage. Armor penetration is only going to affect Starkiller, I think. I think Marjay does special damage. Yeah, she's doing special damage. But Starkiller does physical damage, so he's going to want the armor penetration. Crit damage is going to be great too. Just be careful if they have really high crit avoidance on a Rey. Like, if people are clever, they might do that. Just be careful. This probably won't work as well if they have high crit avoidance, because you won't be able to get rid of inspiration. If you're not using it on Rey, you can take out pretty much most any other GL, non-GL, except like Reva, I think. General Skywalker pretty easily. Mirror if your Marjay's fast enough, but fantastic team. Giant Knight Revan, just depends who you're using. I mean, if you have the Cal Datacron, probably going to use that. You could switch up the comp. If you have just the Bastila Datacron, you might want to use that here. And it all just revolves around getting Cal to his insta-kill and then picking him apart here. This could probably beat a Malgus team, although you might want to run Mace Windu in there if that's the case, and switch up the lineup. I don't have him yet, so I have limited experience, or no experience actually, because no one says him on defense. But definitely an offensive team to be used. Speaking of offensive teams, Phoenix, I am looking forward to using them. It's going to take out some big ticket item. You do want to be careful. I know it destroys Lord Vader if given the right circumstances, but there are lose conditions to that. If Maul doesn't get dazed, if Grand Inquisitor gets a bonus turn from 6 stacks of Purge, if they have like the Reva setup, if they have Admiral Piet and he's getting a lot of turn meter, he could outrun your Rex and get Maul a second bonus turn and he could wipe you out. So you got to be choosy with it, but this is the right comp. Sabine, Kanan are helping with turn meter so much. Keep them at 0. If you have the Rex Kron, it's even better for the Datacron. Omicron is going to make it even easier in Grand Arena than it was in Squad Arena. So really looking forward to this. And also Bad Batch. I saw Arnold's video on all the clones with Rex destroying all the GLs, and I get it. I just don't like to take apart 3 different teams. We take apart Gas 501st, Bad Batch, and the Phoenix team. So I don't think it's worth it. I think that's just a steep price, because Bad Batch is still very useful on a lot of levels. Could get you perfect banners, and with a clone revive prevention, it actually be a pretty solid counter to other teams that wouldn't have been before, like Night Sisters. If you see Night Sisters with Marin and you have a revive prevention for clones, that's going to rip them apart. Moving on to the lower end of the attack squads, we got Ian Versio. I don't always get to use her. She is pretty nice with the bulk or extra armor penetration either way. Great against rebels, so just keep an eye out for extra rebels. If you have them really high relics, yeah, you can put them on defense, but if they're not real high like mine, they're gonna get whomped probably pretty easily. So arm penetration can take out, I don't know if it can take out a 5v5 CLS, but just keep an eye out for rebels. She really has their number. Bounty hunters, I mean, definitely a fantastic team. Getting to the insta-kill with Mando is a big deal, but for set 9, I don't like them as much because they're a mixed alignment squad, and then with set 10, armor penetration, crit damage, this team doesn't really revolve around that. So I don't know. They're kind of not benefiting too much from either Datacron set right now, but you can still get classic stuff done with them, taking out teams that aren't going to do tons of damage and blow you away right away, and just have a key character you need to annihilate. Obviously, a Lord Vader counter or cleanup if you run Fennec in the lead, and maybe if you have Beskar Mando available. But Bounty Hunters, yeah, I don't know. I might end up not using them a couple times this season. Then Wampa, of course. Be very selective with who you counter. Give him some arm penetration, crit damage, and he's going to be whomping like crazy. Did not mean to click on Jin. But Radis, I still love them on offense. With the Bolt Cron, they're super nice. And in 3v3, it was actually a pretty safe 2-shot for Reva. I don't know if that still holds in 5v5. I don't think they're going to beat them. They're not going to kill Reva herself. But with that tankiness from set 9, giving them a bunch of extra defense, all those exposes, you're going to hit them with the AoEs, and you're going to take out some key personnel to make it an easy 2-shot if you have nothing else. So throw that Treya on defense with Savage. Next we got Mon Mothma. I don't really use them at all anymore. It's like a Jabba cleanup or a Lord Vader cleanup. Probably Jabba is better, but you want to run Cassian there instead of Cara Dune to get extra defense down, I think. And but I don't like that because I like Radis more. If you're so inclined, run Mon Mothma only on offense. This season, big change from last season. Tuskens are offense only now, in my opinion. On defense, they don't have the Tusken Raider Omicron, so they're way too easy to get around. I think Radis rips them to shreds. I think Bounty Hunters can mess them up really bad. I think you just want to bring them on offense and take out turn meter heavy teams, because eventually you're just going to watch them melt away from dots, and they're all going to get stunned, and it's going to be beautiful. So take them on offense if you have them. Mandalorians, kind of going by the wayside. I think you absolutely have to have Maul with Lord Vader for Lord Vader to be a real threat on defense, and then on offense, if you really want him to do this heavy lifting, you need Maul for the damage early on. So yeah, I wouldn't really recommend this team, but it can take out Reva in some circumstances. You got to be careful because you need to make sure. Well, you have to sub in Watt there, so you put in Watt instead of armor, and then you could take out Reva, but it's kind of iffy with all the bulk. So I haven't even tried to use this myself in a long time. Got 3 more left here, and this one I just put if you're a gerbil, because gerbil is one of the only people I know that likes Ewoks, and I heard him say he was getting close to beating Darth Revan, or he was beating Darth Revan with them. I'm assuming that's without Malgus, but I don't know. I don't even know if that's with Malak, but I don't know. I'm not going to build these guys up. I'm going to build up the requirements for Princess Leia, and that's it. And then on defense, the best thing about them, in my opinion, is Nisa really can time you out if you don't destroy them fast enough because her basic is so slow. And the last 2, we got Imperial Troopers. I don't find as much use for Imperial Troopers anymore at my high level, but throughout most levels of the game, super useful. Turn meter train, if you can get it going, you got to be faster and you got to make sure they don't have like days or anything, or they're not going to kill any key member of your squad really fast. But Moff Gideon's team might be the way to go for now. If you have Scout Trooper built up, have the Omicron or Zetas, and maybe if you have relics, which is only spenders right now. So if you spend to get Scout Trooper, I hope you figured out how to use them, because I don't know how to tell you how to use them yet. Just go look at Arnold's video or something for some info, because I have no experience with them. And now on to defense. And this section is much shorter than attack and flex as well, because there are fewer teams that I think are dedicated for defense that you really want dedicated there. One at the top adds Sith Eternal as a formal lineup. I don't know if you necessarily need Sith Assassin, but I think if you set Sith Eternal Emperor, you want to put Malak, you want to put Savage, maybe put Sith Trooper, just something here that's an extra threat. I do like Sith Empire Trooper here as a tank to make sure you, like if they take in a mirror, they have to link Sith Empire Trooper first, which is kind of not a link you want to do. But this is very hard to get by. If they don't have Supreme Leader Kylo or like a Sith Eternal Mirror match, and you have the ability block Datacron, that's what that means, ABDC, ability block Datacron. Made me think of the band AC/DC when I put it. But the ability block Datacron is brutal, so keep an eye out for this. Not a pushover at all. You gotta have a really bulky team. C is gonna be really fast. Malak is gonna be really fat. So is Savage. It's a scary team, so look out there. However, if you don't set that team, I highly recommend you put Savage with Traya and you put them on defense. This team, yes, it beats Reva on offense, but I think it is much more threatening on defense than Reva is on defense. So instead of trying to plan for a Reva, if you see that, try to make them work around this, because this is going to be really scary. Pretty much need a GL. I'm not sure what other teams are going to beat it without GLs. Just really, really strong. The more relics, the better. I only have Savage over relics 5. But yeah, give him some good mods. If you can give Nihilus extra speed, that makes it even better. Like, mine's not too fast, but I've run mirrors when mine are fat. My Nihilus is faster because people neglect those mods. And just make sure you just give some good mods there. Moving on, Sortie, not super strong, and I didn't put Lobot in here. I don't have a Lobot built up yet. I'm not sure what the best comp is. But I think this is basically just trying to bait Wampa as solo, because Wampa might have a hard time clearing out Sortie, and they'd time out and lose. On offense, not really much you can do with it, and this is borderline falling out of favor with me, because it's just not strong enough. It's not really stopping things. You could get creative and put, like, General Grievous in there or something, but I don't know. Sortie, if you use her, put her on defense, not on offense. And then Malgus. Malgus is going to have a tough time this season against Jedi Knight Cal. The only upside is a lot of people don't have Jedi Knight Cal. So if you're watching this, I bet over half of you, well over half of you, are going to face plenty of opponents that don't have Jedi Knight Cal. And this is going to be a defensive staple in that case. If you take them on offense, I think they can beat Reva pretty easily. You might want to use Darth Revan lead. I'm not sure, because that puts Deathmark on Reva, which is pretty nice. I'm definitely a big fan of Darth Revan lead in a lot of ways. But I think it's still really strong in defense. It makes your opponent forced to do something good. And if they don't use, even if they have Jedi Knight Cal, if they have to use it here, that means they don't have it available for something else good later. Next up, we got Trench. I put if you like him. I think this is the comp to use. I'd probably give them bulk. Datacron. Armor penetration actually is extremely nice with Django, because I think he is a strength. No, he's agility attacker. But he does have decent. Actually, doesn't have super high armor pen. But armor penetration, crit damage definitely does increase his damage a lot. He's really high offense already. But I'm probably not going to use this on defense. Maybe it will. You don't know. If you're facing me, you don't know. I might. But yeah, you really need Watt to make it effective. If you put Geobreed Alpha there instead of Watt, I think it helps prevent some really easy counters. But I don't know. I just don't think it's scary. And then we got the Fin Po Zori, or Omicron Rose Zori. If you have Omicron Rose, she's the better way to go. Otherwise, you want to use original Poe here. It's not crazy anymore. It's really, it is really strong. You do have to make sure you bring your A game for it. I like Afra for it. Jedi Knight Revan with the right bulk, maybe Bastila Datacron, can handle it pretty well. But just be careful, because once they start going, they're going to rip you to shreds. So I'll definitely like that on defense still. And then this dash team is for people without Vandor, Chewbacca built up, or the Omicron, Because if you have that, you can do a lot of good stuff with it on offense, so don't put it on defense. For me, I just throw Dash with all the good scoundrels. Hopes it trips people up. It actually does a lot of times. Hondo Omicron is huge for that. Getting out of Ransom early, IG-11 Queel, and Bam. If you have a specific idea for Bam in mind, I mean, bring him on offense with Fennec or something, but otherwise, it doesn't hurt to put him on defense here. And then this is a team I'm going to be looking at with great interest because we are going to have Terran Malicos in the game very soon. And he's going to bring a lot more damage to this team that's already really hard to kill and already has a lot of damage with Ahsoka Fulcrum. Seer's also a big damage threat with her special ability that builds up kind of like Rex's Annihilate. But put Kylo Ren on mass with them if you have them on defense. Helps prevent like easy bounty hunter counters or something. But I'm really looking forward to slotting him here. Won't have him for the first week, but after that, look out. I don't know what we're going to have to beat this easily. You might have to overkill it. And then Saw. I think if you have Saw, you want to run this comp. You want to run Chirrut, Baze, Cara Dune, and Kyle Katarn. Give them the good Rebel fighters. I think, yeah, Chirrut and Baze are pretty annoying, but then Cara Dune is super annoying, and Kyle Katarn has great damage. So Cara Dune, keeping the team alive just from her annoying reviving, really gives time for Saw. Have those bombs explode, I guess. I still don't really understand it, but I know it's just kind of tricky and can catch people off guard if they're not ready for it. I don't know what like the smoothest counter for it's going to be. I used Radis last season, I think, and it worked, but it kind of didn't make me feel very safe. But definitely, yeah, if you have him built up, put him on defense with these good Rebel fighters. And now the moment you've all been waiting for, the flex teams. Starting with Galactic Legends at the top, we have Jedi Master Kenobi, which I just labeled as the best because overall it's probably the most valuable tool you have. On defense, maybe it could be a little bit more vulnerable this season to maybe JML could handle it better. But on offense, you can really take out pretty much anything if you use the right comp. It has some troubles against Java sometimes, but you can get it done. The Jedi defense reduction datacron from set 10 is actually something to really consider. On a lineup like this, it's only really benefiting GK and Ahsoka Tano because it doesn't benefit a Galactic Legend. Galactic Legend Jedi like JMK and Kat and Padme aren't Jedis themselves, so they don't get reduced damage. But it's something at least to consider because it does a lot more for the survivability of the team since GK is already taunting all the time, and plus you get all the extra damage from an arm penetration stat or crit damage as much as you can build up there. Or the Volcron works just fine. Jabba, you can put it on defense or on offense. I mean, offense is going to take out almost anything except probably Lord Vader. It might have trouble with Sith Eternal Emperor, actually. Like, Sith Eternal Emperor and Jabba have a weird relationship where they can't beat each other. Because it comes down to a slap fight, so you can't get through Jabba, and Jabba doesn't do any damage when it's just him. So, I think defense is still a great way to go. You might want to use the Wookiee Datacron with the damage reduction for 75% reduction, over 50% health. Micro Santon's really slow, so whenever he does get over 50% turn meter, he stays there for kind of a while if the enemy team is kind of fast. And with Jabba's extra damage reduction he gives to the team, you can get down to like 1 damage on Chris Santon sometimes. So something to think about since he's getting minimal benefit from the bulk compared to others. I mean, it's still extra like 30-45% health and protection for Dark Side, but I don't know, that Wookiee one might be a good idea. And then Rey, most of the resistance has been taken by the Zori team, so it leaves you with Ben Solo. Jedi Training Rey is pretty much a lock. Amel and Hodo, I like her as a tank. Just soaks up hits, gets you an extra whirlwind, and the Barriss is great for just, I don't know, healing and just kind of being annoying. There's other comps you can use if you want to put her on defense. Maybe Sortie L3 is a good idea. I guess the VIP mechanic can be annoying. But overall, yeah, we'll have to see if Starkiller beats it on defense, because that will really determine what I'm actually doing with my raid this season. And then Lord Vader, I didn't change the name there. Yeah, I hadn't noticed that I didn't change the name yet, but you need Piet if you're going to put it on defense, because without Piet, it's going to get like rickrolled by Phoenix. On offense, you don't need Piet. Piet can just go with the Imperial Troopers elsewhere. But to me, it's not a huge sacrifice to put Piet there. I just have yet to see. I want to see what the first week does. I'll probably have him on offense. But if you do bring him on offense, you don't really need much extra damage other than Lord Evader and Maul. Just extra tanks, Thrawn for control, and passive turn meter. But he worked great against Jabba last season, and he might just have the same job this season. Reva can be flex, offense or defense. Easy counter is Traya. Other stuff like Rey can beat them pretty consistently. But I think Phoenix might be able to clean them up to or destroy them too. But yeah, on offense they can take out like the light side Galactic Legends or the Jedi Galactic Legends pretty easily, JMK and JML. Not sure about JMK and 5v5 actually, but I think they worked really well in 3v3. So I think that they're gonna do just fine in 5v5. Probably give them the bulk Kron, unless it's a team that's just really thick and doesn't do a lot of damage. Then you might just want armor penetration or something. But really important team, can go either way. CLS, good on offense, good on defense. I'm probably gonna bring him on offense a lot because it can just do so many things that you're not gonna be able to get anywhere else. Getting your first turn, getting the stun, that initiative. There's a really good counter to Aphra. If you do see Aphra on defense, Aphra is better this season in 5v5 than 3v3. You can put Darth Vader with her. You can add extra damage like IG-88 or B2, and that's going to cause a lot of problems. But yeah, Aphra is also flex in 5v5, but she is kind of afraid of Han Solo, like the CLS team. So be careful. Just figure out what your opponent does with their CLS, and then determine what to do with Aphra from there. Moving on, I moved General Skywalker to the flex teams. Last season, I had him listed on defense, but I kept using it on offense all the time. Classic counter to Seer. Your offense stacks through the roof from all those buffs. Can also take on Rey in the right circumstances. So just really nice to have on offense, and honestly pretty fun to play with. Another reason why I don't want to use Captain Rex with 501st, because gas is just so strong. And on defense, it kind of gets destroyed by CLS. So that's the trade-off there too. You really got to keep an eye on what your opponents actually do. General Grievous, I don't know. Might put him on defense, might not. But he actually drew a lot of Wampas for me last season, I believe. And you got a lot of holds because Wampa didn't work. I think Newt's a great fifth here. That's why I prefer not to use the Trench team, because I want Newt as the fifth. Droideka doesn't really cut it. And BB-8, BB-8's an option that helps prevent... Yeah, I guess. I think Bad Batch it really helps prevent, but it's up to you. This team can beat Starkiller on defense if you do it right, have the right setup. Moving on, we got Qui-Gon Jinn, and I actually think this is a better use for a level 6 Jedi DC is the damage reduction and not the Foresight. You have plenty of damage anyway, and if you make them just really hard to kill when they have high turn meter, you might get some extra holds on defense that you didn't expect, or on offense get some wins because you just go in there knowing you're going to take reduced damage in the early going. And then Ayla Kron, you can have like a bunch of assists all the time if you have that Datacron. She only needs to be R5, so it works great. I think Mace Windu is great here for swapping turn meter, but he's very flexible. He can go a lot of places. So I just think they could be good on offense or defense. On defense, GK and Ahsoka does work pretty well. Otherwise, you might just get Bad Batch, but we'll have to see. I'm not sure how it's going to be with set 10. And then the Dash team, if you do have the Vandor Chewbacca built up and you do have the Omicron on Dash, you can beat like JML. I don't know if there's other GLs you can beat, but it's pretty strong because the AI doesn't know what they're doing and you keep reviving all the time. Also, Geonosians, kind of like a cleanup. For Rey, they're good at cleaning that up. Just otherwise, I don't really know. On defense, if you do have a good Datacron in the back and they're drained, if you're a lower level Kyber, maybe a Rhodium, you might be able to get away with this more. And high Kyber, like Kyber 1, I probably wouldn't use them with defense. And then Night Sisters. Night Sisters are fantastic because they still have a targeted Datacron active, especially have Marin and the extra Plague. I don't know if I'm going to have the stomach to take them against Jabba. I am kind of fearful with that because a lot of times it times out. And I think it's kind of cheesy, so I might be using them against non-GLs. But on defense, if your opponent doesn't have the right stuff, it's really scary. Like, they really just melt your team if they get a couple plagues off. So watch out for them. And then the Tarful team, I moved it from just offense last 5v5 to flex this time because when you have the Wookiee Kron and the setup right, as long as you just got Tarful and Zalbar, it can be pretty tough to deal with on defense. So don't sell it short if you see it on your opponent's wall. Make sure you're taking the right thing. This first week might be tricky. And I put Mission here just because, you know, she goes well with Zalbar. A lot of synergy there. And you don't really want to take Vandor Chewbacca or either normal Chewbacca or 3PO and Chewie. So it's kind of hard to fill out the team. So maybe just Clone Wars Chewie and Veteran Smuggler if you have them. I don't know. I don't see myself using this team for a while because I have a lot of work to be done. But I do think it could go on offense or defense. That's it for this one, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I hope this helped you prep for 5v5. I know it's always hard for me to remember what's going on. If you want some ships discussion, not much has changed since even 3v3, so hopefully I remember to link that video down, but I made a video about how to split up your fleets last season, and I think it should still apply. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, sub if you haven't already, and good luck in 5v5.